my shaking hands and kissed the pain. You said forever like it meant something real, but forever shouldn't hurt the way I feel. I learned to read the silence in your eyes, the space between your truth and all your lies. I kept believing love was just a phase, that storms would pass if I just chose to stay. I wore my tears like they were diamonds on my skin. Told myself that breaking wasn't giving in. I stayed through hurt, I stayed through tears, through every lonely, sleepless year. I gave you all the best of me while you were losing what we used to be. I held your heart when it fell apart, even when you tore apart mine first. I called it love, I called it worth, but I just stayed. I stayed through her. You'd say I'm strong, that I could take the fall, like loving you was nothing at all. But strength don't mean I do not bleed, it just means I hide what you don't see. I memorize the way you turn away every time I begged you just to stay. You built your walls brick by brick while I built hope on something sick. I swallowed words I should have let you hear, choked on promises that disappeared. I stayed through hurt, I stayed through tears, through shattered trust and broken ears. I gave you chances more than truth while you gave less than you used to. I kept the light on in the dark, even when you left me there to burn. I called it love, I called it worth, but I just stayed. I stayed through hurt, I stayed through hurt. Now I see my heart was begging me to run, but I was scared of who I'd be without someone. I thought that leaving meant that I'd failed, but loving you was where I truly fell. I was loyal to a fault, to a flame that only ever learned to shift the blame. And I lost myself to keep you first. That's the heaviest kind of curse. Oh, I stayed when I should have walked away. I stayed when you didn't ask me to stay. I stayed through hurt, I stayed too long, turned all your wrongs into my wrongs. I've broken places you can't see, trying to be what you never be. But now I know my heart's my own, and I deserve a love that doesn't burn. I call it love, I call it worth, but I won't stay. I won't stay through hurt. I stayed through hurt, but I'm choosing me first. No more staying through hurt. You used to trace my name in the dark, like it was something sacred. Now it's like the letters fell apart, like I was overrated. We talk about forever like it wasn't just a word. Now forever sounds like silence, and silence really hurts. You swore that I was different, said I wasn't like the rest, but different doesn't mean that you love me any less. Guess I was easy to forget, easy to walk away from, like the tears I never let fall when you were gone. You packed up all our memories like they were never there. I stayed up drowning in regret. You didn't even care if love was a test, and I guess I never meant enough, 'cause I was easy. I was easy to forget. I still sleep on your side of the bed, just to feel you near me. I read all messages you sent, like maybe they'll still hear me. You said I was your safe place, you're always in your home. Now I'm just another chapter you closed without a note. Did you even hesitate when you erased my names? Was I just a temporary kind of flame? Guess I was easy to forget, easy to walk away from, like the promises you kept until they came undone. You packed up all our memories like they were never there. I stayed up drowning in regret. You didn't even care if love was a war. I was fighting it alone, 'cause I was easy. I was easy to forget. Was I that easy to replace? Did she fit right in my place? Did you tell her all the things you used to tell me every day? Did you even miss my voice, or was leaving just your choice? Tell me how you sleep at night, knowing I'm not alright. I wasn't easy to forget, I was just easy to lose. I gave you every piece of me, there was nothing left to prove. You packed up all our memories, but I still feel them here. I'm the one who carries love, you're the one who disappeared. If hearts are made of glass, then mine is proof enough. You didn't break me gently, you just gave up. And I was easy, I was easy to forget. Maybe someday you'll remember what you let slip through your hands, but I won't be waiting forever to be loved like I deserve. the space between our words, the way you stopped reaching for my hand, like loving me just hurt. You didn't slam the door on us, you didn't make a sound. You just started loving me less every time I turned around. I kept telling myself, this is just a phase, but phases don't last this long, and love shouldn't fade this way. You let me down slowly, one quiet tear at a time, one less I miss you, one more distant goodbye. You didn't leave me suddenly, you let the feeling go. You didn't break my heart at once, you let me down slowly. You still said I love you, but it didn't sound the same, like the words were just habits, not fire, not flame. I could feel you drifting before you said you were. I was holding on tighter while you were unsure. I tried to fix the silence, try to fill the space, but you can't hold together what someone else won't save. You let me down slowly, like I wouldn't see, like I wouldn't see, like I wouldn't notice. You weren't choosing me, you stayed just long enough to make it hurt the most. You didn't leave in anger, you left like a ghost. You didn't shatter my heart with one heavy blow. You let me down slowly. I would have rather you told me the truth, rather one sharp pain than this slow bruise. Watching you fade while standing still, loving you fully while you lost the will. You let me down slowly, in whispers and sighs, in the way your arms stopped holding me tight. You let the spark die, 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 without a fight, die, die. I kept believing we could still be whole, but you already leaving piece by piece. You didn't break me loudly, you didn't let me know, you let me down slowly. You didn't just touch my hand, you rewrote the way I feel. Every quiet part of me suddenly learned what was real. I was careful, I was guarded, built my walls up high and strong, but you looked straight through the cracks, like you knew where I'd been wrong. I thought I knew what love could be, till you made a home in me. It was a love that changed my soul, left me soft, left me raw. I gave you parts I never showed. You saw me when I was lost, even after letting go. Your shadow still feels whole. It was a love I can't outgrow, a love that changed my soul. You said my name like it mattered, like it meant more than before. I learned to dream in your language, learned to hope a little more. But some hearts don't know how to stay, some promises come undone. I was holding on to always, you were already halfway gone. I loved you deeper than you knew. That's the part I'm still living through. It was a love that changed my soul, left me breaking, left me bold. I learned what it means to fall, and how it feels to lose it all. Even in the afterglow, your memory all gold. It was a love I still control, but it already changed my soul. If I had known the cost of you, I still would have paid it all. Some lessons hurt the deepest, but they teach us how to love. You were never mine to keep, but you were mine to feel, and that's a truth I'll always carry, no matter how I heal. Love that changed my soul still lives inside my bones. It was a love that changed my soul, not a waste, not a mistake. It taught my heart to open wide, even if it had to break. forever. They stay in who we become. You said you cared, you said you tried, but your heart was never by my side. I felt it in the quiet nights when I reached for you in the dark. You'd hold my hand but not my fears. You'd kiss away my falling tears. But something in your distant eyes kept us worlds apart. I built a home inside your name while you were standing in the rain. I gave you all my truth, my soul, but I was loving on my own. I loved you deep alone, with a heart wide open, with a faith unbroken. Even when you're gone, I loved you deep alone, through every silent phone, through every almost I'm coming home that never came at all. I was fighting for us both while you let go. I loved you deep alone. Favorite song, sang it even when it felt wrong. I defended you in every room, like you were worth the bruise. You'd pull away when things got real, call my pain just how I feel. But loving someone halfway leaves a heart confused. Space you left with patience and regret. I thought if I just stayed long enough, you'd learn how to love. I loved you deep alone, through nights that felt like stone, through promises you'd overthrown and words you never owned. I loved you deep alone while you were halfway gone, while I was holding on to something barely strong. I kept choosing you as home, but I was standing there alone. I loved you deep alone. Maybe I confused intensity with something meant to be. Maybe I thought if I loved harder, you'd finally love me. But love can't grow in empty ground or bloom without a sound. that I didn't try, it's that you never did. That my heart is strong and true, even when it's bruised. You couldn't meet me where I stood, but that don't mean I'm wrong. I loved you deep alone. Now I'm learning to move on. One day I loved deep and not alone. One day my heart will feel like home. I saw the cracks behind your smile, the storms you tried to hide. You said you didn't need someone, but I stayed right by your side. I learned the weight of your silence, the tremble in your hands. I held you through the breaking when no one else could stand. You said you were too damaged, too lost to be saved, but I wasn't trying to fix you, I just chose to stay. I loved you through pain, through every shadow, through every night. You let your walls show. I held your heart when you couldn't hold mine. I gave you strength when you were losing your fight. I stood in the fire, I stood in the rain. You couldn't love yourself, but I loved you through pain. I carried all your doubts for you like they were mine to keep. Whispered hope into your darkness when you couldn't sleep. You pushed me when you felt too much. You pulled away in fear, but I kept choosing you, even when you disappeared. I thought that if I loved you hard, it would quiet all your storms. But love can't heal a heart that won't believe it's worth more. I loved you through pain, through every goodbye, through every tear. You wouldn't cry. I gave you all while losing myself. Put your broken pieces above my own health. I stood in the fire again and again. You couldn't face your hurt, but I loved you through pain. Maybe I thought if I loved you enough, you'd finally see that you were enough. through pain until it broke me, until my heart couldn't breathe. I gave you everything I had to give, but love can't survive if only one believes. I stood in the fire, I stayed in the rain. You let me drown in your unspoken pain. And maybe one day you'll understand. I loved you through pain. You let me drown in your unspoken pain. I saw the doubt behind your smile, the way your eyes would drift, like loving me was something you weren't sure you could commit. You'd say don't overthink it, but my heart could feel the shift. I started holding tighter to something bound to slip. I memorized the way you changed and blamed it on my brain. I told myself it's just a phase, but fear was in the space. I loved you with fear, with trembling hands and silent tears, with half my heart already braced for you to disappear. I loved you with fear, like every kiss could be the last, like every I love you you said might fade too fast. I never felt completely sure, but I stayed right here. I loved you with fear. I shrank my needs to keep you close, pretended I was strong. I swallowed every question when something felt so wrong. You'd pull away when things got deep, call distance needing space. I tried to make myself enough for someone out of place. I built a future on maybe on hope that felt shaky. I thought if I could love you more, you'd finally feel secure. I loved you with fear, through every almost sincere, through every time you turned away and left me standing there. I loved you with fear, like I was walking on thin ice. One wrong step and you would be gone out of my life. I kept forgiving what the saddest part of how we lived. It wasn't love that hurt the most, it was loving you in doubt. I knew, and I stayed. I loved you with fear, but I won't love like that again. I won't silence my intuition just to hold a fragile man. I loved you with fear, but love should feel like peace, not like counting down the days until it leaves. You couldn't give me something clear, and that became my truth. I loved you with fear. Now I'm learning how to love without it too. I loved you with fear, but next time I love without it. I stayed through the silence and shadows, through the nights you weren't really there. I kept making room for your absence, calling loneliness care. Held on to every small promise, like it might still come true. But my hands are tired of reaching for someone who never chose me to. I whispered stay 1,000 times, my heart was screaming all along. My heart says enough, even though it still aches. I've loved you with all that I am and all that I gave. I don't hate you, I just can't stay where love keeps slipping away. My heart says enough, and I'm finally listening today. I wore my hope like a habit, thought patience would make you change. I kept forgiving your distance, calling it growing pains. They say love is supposed to be gentle, but it left me bruised and small. I kept waiting for you to catch me, but you never reached at all. I broke quietly, piece by piece, so no one would hear. My heart says enough, I'm laying this down. I won't beg for a place I was never found. I gave you my softness, my truth, my trust, but love shouldn't hurt like this. My heart says enough, and I'm choosing me at last. left in your hands. I'll miss the way you said my name, like it meant something once. But missing you isn't a reason to stay when love is gone. Some hearts don't stop loving, they just stop staying. Some hearts don't stop loving, they just stop staying. Stay through the silence and shadows. They'll stay through the silence and choose me. I stay through the silence, you know. I stay through the silence and choose me. Some hearts don't stop loving. Some hearts don't stop loving, they just stop staying. Some hearts don't stop loving, they just stop staying. You said I felt like summer, like sunlight on your skin, like something you'd been praying for before I let you in. Your trees forever on my lips, like you believe the word. Now forever feels like silence, and silence always hurts. I gave you all my secrets, every fragile part of me. You held them like they mattered, but let them fall so easily. Did you ever really see me, or just the way I cared? Was I just convenient love you wore when you were scared? But my love was real enough. It was honest, it was true. Every tear, every touch, every I need you. I stayed when it was heavy, I fought when it was rough. You might not have been ready, but my love was real enough. It was real enough. I remember all the late nights when you said I was your home, said you'd never walk away, said I'd never be alone. Now I'm staring at the ceiling with your absence on my chest, trying to make peace with the way you left. You say you didn't mean to hurt me, that you just needed space, but space doesn't explain the look on your face. Was I loving you too deeply? Did I give you too much light? Or did you only love me when it felt easy and right? 'Cause my love was real enough. It was steady, it was kind, it wasn't just a moment. It was all of mine. I didn't run from storms, I didn't call your bluff. You may not have chosen me, but my love was real enough. It was real enough. Maybe I was too open, maybe I believed too fast, maybe I saw a future you knew would never last. But don't you dare rewrite it, don't you dare pretend that what I gave was anything less than what I meant. My love was real enough to build a life with you, to carry all your broken parts and still come through. I would have stayed forever through every high and rough. You walked away too soon, but my love was real enough. It was real enough. Even if I wasn't enough for you. One day someone will hold my heart like it's something rare and tough, and they won't question for a second that my love is real enough. You left without a scene, no shattered glass. fast, no in between. Just a slow and steady fade of promises we made. I watched you pack your heart away, all mine and nowhere else to stay. You said you'll be alright, but I felt the end that night. The door closed off, but something cracked, and I've been carrying that. I stayed broken still, long after the quiet filled every corner of this room where we once stood. I stayed broken still, through every I will I whispered to myself, but never could. You moved on like nothing real, like love was something small, but I stayed broken still, through it all. I folded up the pictures, but couldn't fold the ache. I told myself I'm stronger, but strength can sometimes shake. I'd hear your name in passing and feel my chest grow tight, like losing you was something I relived every night. I smiled when people asked, said I'm okay too fast, but healing isn't just pretend, and time don't always mend. I stayed broken still, some mornings that felt unreal, good nights I barely slept, and memories I couldn't kill. I stayed broken still while you were climbing hills, building something new. While I was standing still, I gave you all I had to give, and maybe that was why I stayed broken still. Inside, maybe I loved too deeply, maybe I gave too much, maybe I built my whole world on the way you used to touch. It wasn't weakness to feel, it wasn't wrong to care, but when only one heart stays, the other disappears. I wasn't broken because I'm small, I was broken because I loved it all. I'm still healing, I'm still here. I stay broken still, but not forever will, because even shattered hearts can learn to heal. I stayed broken still, but I'm finding strength in this, in knowing I loved fully, even if the cracks along the wall, heard the silence in your call, felt the distance in your touch, but I convinced myself it's just a phase we'd make it through, that love was something strong enough to carry both of us, even when you barely moved. I told myself he's just confused, like that would make it true. I held the weight you wouldn't hold, turned your cold into my fault. I stayed for you when every sign said let it go, when my heart was breaking slow, but I didn't want to lose. I stayed for you through every tear I hid from view, through nights I begged for something new, while you just pulled away. I gave you all I had to give, more than I should have gone through. I lost pieces of myself, 'cause I stayed for you. You'd say you needed space to breathe, like loving me was hard to keep. I'd shrink myself so you'd feel free and call that loyalty. I memorized your shifting moods, learned when to speak, when to be still. I tried to be your safest place while you were losing will. I defended you to everyone, even when I knew that loving shouldn't feel this alone, or like I'm fighting on my own. I stayed for you when leaving would have saved my pride, when every part of me inside was screaming this ain't right. I stayed for you through promises you didn't keep, through apologies that came too weak to mend what you broke. I held on longer than I should to something halfway true, and it cost more than you knew that I stayed for you. Was it love or was it fear of starting over from here? Was I strong or just afraid of watching us fade? I thought if I could love you better, you'd finally see my worth, but you can't fix a heart that doesn't wanna work. I was loyal to a fault line, standing on the use. Yes, I stayed for you, but I won't stay like that again. I won't bend until I break, just to help someone who won't bend. I stayed for you, and maybe that's what proves my heart is strong and true. Even when it's bruised, you may have walked away from me, but I won't lose me too. I stayed for you, but now I'm choosing me. I stayed for you. Now I'm staying for me. Felt the distance in your touch, like something slowly died. You stopped looking at me like I was your home. Started turning quiet even when we were alone. I knew the truth was settling in, but I was scared to let it win. Every red flag waving loud, still I couldn't turn around. I loved you still somehow, even when you let me down, even when the fire burned out and smoke filled every room. Promises weren't sound when forever turned to doubt, and I was losing you. I should've let my heart walk out, but it didn't know just how. You were already halfway gone, but I loved you still somehow. Say I'm too emotional, like feeling was a flaw, but loving you took everything and still you wanted. I shrank my knees to fit your space, pretended I was fine. I told myself it's just a phase, it happens all the time. Kept defending what we had, while it was slipping through my hands. I thought that staying proved I cared, but love needs to we're both prepared. I loved you still somehow, through every tear I wouldn't show, through every night I felt alone, right next to you. I loved you still somehow, when your heart stopped coming home, when I felt it turn to stone and there was nothing I could do. I knew I deserved more than doubt, but I kept holding on to. You were breaking every vow, but I loved you still somehow. How do you stop loving someone who once felt like your world? How do you silence memories that still call you his girl? I wish I could say I left with pride, that I didn't look back twice, but the hardest part of letting go was loving you despite. It wasn't weakness, it was depth, and depth can hurt like this. I knew, and I stayed. I loved you still somehow, but I'm learning not to now, learning how to close the door without closing down. I loved you still somehow, and maybe that's what shows. My heart was real and open even when it broke. You couldn't love me the same way, and that's the truth I to laugh a little louder, used to light up every room. Now she sits beside the window, talking to the moon. She says she's fine, she says she's healing, says it just takes time. But every night she folds your memory like laundry on the line. She tells her friends she's moving on, that she's finally alright. But no one sees her breaking in the quiet of the night. She's the girl who cried but never made a sound, the one who loved her deeply when you let her down. She held the pieces when they fell apart. She's the girl who cried with a brave face and a breaking heart. She let you go with grace even when she wanted to fight. She's the girl who cried every single night. She remembers how you held her like she was all you need. Now she replays every moment, trying to see what she missed. She blamed herself for losing you, for loving you too strong. But you were already halfway gone. She just stayed too long. She thought if she kept smiling you might come back around. But love can't hear you calling when it doesn't want the sound. She's the girl who cried but never made a scene, the one who gave you everything you didn't need. She kept believing you'd change your mind. She's the girl who cried but left her pride behind. She walked away in silence, didn't beg, didn't try. But she's the girl who cried long after goodbye. Maybe she was too honest, maybe she loved too true. Maybe your only mistake was believing in you. But you rise from this heartbreak, even if it takes time, because the girl who cries deeply loves just as strong next time. She's the girl who cried through every goodbye, through every promise that turned into a lie. She gave you her world, you gave her doubt. She's the girl who cried when the lights went out. But one day someone will hold her right and kiss the tears from her eyes. She's the girl who cried, survive and survive. Quiet in the kitchen, just the ticking of the clock. Your keys were on the counter, but your heart was not. I knew it in the way you wouldn't look me in the eye. Love shouldn't feel like strangers, standing side by side. I try to hold the moment like it wouldn't slip away. But silence has a language, and it told me you won't stay. My hands were shaking, but my voice stayed slow. Funny how you can feel it before they let you go. That was the night I broke, the night your forever went up in smoke, when every promise we ever spoke turned into words I couldn't hold. That was the night I learned love doesn't always mean it works. You walked away, I stayed with her. That was the night I broke. You said it's not you, it's timing, like time was to blame. But timing never held me or whispered my name. I watched your shadow disappear down the hall, and I swear I felt my whole world crack against that wall. I bit my tongue so I wouldn't beg, but my heart was on its knees instead. That was the night I broke, when your goodbye got stuck in my throat, when every memory we wrote fell apart like dominoes. That was the night I cried, not just tears but my whole pride. I held my chest just to survive. That was the night, the night I broke. I didn't scream, I didn't fight, I just stood there losing you in slow motion light. You didn't see what it cost me to be that strong. Sometimes the quiet hurts more than wrong. I gave you the best of me, and you gave me back goodbye. Now every mirror shows a girl who learned how love can lie. That was the night I shattered, smiled while nothing mattered. That was the night I knew I lost me loving you. That was the night I broke, when hope and heartbreak intertwined, when I left pieces of my mind on the floor you walked away from. That was the night I changed, when loving you just felt like pain. I'll never be that girl again, but I'll remember the night I broke. It was the night I broke. But not the night I ended, just the night my heart started mending. The moon stayed up like it was watching while I packed away your name. Every memory felt heavier than the tears I couldn't save. I sat alone with all the truth I'd been too afraid to know. That loving you was hurting me more than leaving ever could. I held on long past the sign. Tonight I finally read between the lines. This was the night I let go. No screaming, no goodbye. Just a heart too tired to break one more time. I didn't stop loving you, I just stopped holding on. This was the night I let go and chose to carry on. Your silence used to shake me like I'd done something wrong. Now it's just an empty echo where I don't belong. I replayed every what if till they lost their power over me. Some answers never come, but peace finally did. Forgave what we weren't and stop begging for more. This was the night I let go of promises half made. I laid down all the hope that kept me in pain. I didn't erase the love or pretend it was gone. This was the night I let go and learned to move on. If loving you was my weakness, then letting go was my strength. Some goodbyes aren't endings, they're the start of what's next. I'll miss the way you felt like home, even when I felt alone. But I deserve a love that stays, not one I have to chase. The night I let go still hurts, but I'm free. This was the night I let go. I cried, then I breathed again. I didn't lose who I was, I just found her then. If you ever wonder why I left or where my heart is gone, it stayed too long where it was breaking till the night I let go. Some hearts don't shatter to heal, they simply loosen their grip. I heard the door close softly, like you didn't want to wake the past. Like if you moved in silence, it wouldn't hurt as bad. your suitcase by the hallway, your shadow on the wall. I stood there frozen, watching everything we built just fall. You didn't slam it angry, you didn't even cry. You just walked into the daylight and left me asking why. Did you already know when you kissed me that night that you were saying goodbye while I was holding tight? You didn't look back, not once, not even twice, not when I was breaking right there in your sight. You didn't hesitate, you didn't lose track of where you were going. You didn't look back, and I was still standing there, heart wide open, cracked. You left like it was easy, and you didn't look back. I replay that moment like maybe I'll see a flicker of regret, a tear you hid from me. But your steps were steady, like you'd already healed, while I was still believing in something that was real. Was I just a chapter you closed without a fight? Did loving me feel heavy or just not right? I would have followed anywhere, you only had to ask. But you were already gone before I could react. You didn't look back like I was yesterday, like all the words we promised were easy to betray. You didn't even falter, you didn't slow your track. You let go forever, and you didn't look back while I was on my knees, trying to unpack how you left so certain and didn't look back. Did you ever love me the way I loved you? Or was I just a comfort until something new? Tell me, did your heart erase even for a second when you walked away from everything we meant? You didn't look back, but I still see your face in every empty corner, in every quiet place. I stayed when it was messy, I stayed when love was hard. You ran from all the pieces I was trying to guard. Maybe someday you'll wonder about what we had, but I remember the girl who loved you like that. And even if you never feel what I felt back, I know I gave you everything, even if you didn't look back. I hope the road you chose was worth what you left behind, because I was worth looking back for. Said space would help us breathe, but space just built a wall so high you couldn't even see me. I watched you pack your promises, fold them into maybe. You kissed my forehead like goodbye, but wouldn't say it plainly. I stood there holding all our plans while they slipped right through your hands. I kept waiting for you to turn around, but you never made a sound. You didn't stay for me. You stayed for comfort, stayed for ease. But when it got too hard to be, you walked away so easily. You didn't stay for me, not for my heart, not for my dreams, not for the girl who would have fought through anything, through everything. But you didn't stay for me. Try to be the safest place. You're quiet after long days, but safety wasn't what you wanted. You were already halfway. I felt it in the way you would pull your love back inch by inch, like I was something temporary you could drop without a flinch. I gave you all my loyalty, you gave me uncertainty. I kept believing love was choice, but you never used your voice. You didn't stay for me when forever scared you deep, when loving me meant digging in. You chose the way that's free. You didn't stay for me. You stayed till it was inconvenient, till effort felt too heavy and leaving felt too easy. I would have carried us on wounded knees, but you didn't stay for me. Was I too much to hold, or not enough to keep? Did my love feel too real for someone scared that deep? I wasn't asking you for perfect, just honest, just brave. But you were only strong enough to love me halfway. I would have stayed. I would have stayed. You didn't stay for me, not when it mattered most, not when forever stood at the door asking what we chose. You didn't stay for me, and that's the truth that breaks. I was already choosing you in every breath I take. I would have loved you endlessly. You looked at me like I was home, like I was all you'd ever need. You traced forever on my skin, planted promises like seeds. I built my world around your word, believed in every vow. But somewhere in the in-between, you don't look at me now. You said love was simple, said it would see us through. But love can't stay alive if one heart stops being true. You didn't stay true when it mattered most. You let the fire fade, turn my love to smoke. I was holding on to the you I knew, but somewhere along the way, you didn't stay true. Distance, I would have faced the truth, but I can't fight for both of us when you didn't stay true. Your I love you grew quieter, like it weighed too much to say. Your hand stopped reaching for mine, like you were already halfway. Try to fix what I could feel, try to close the cracks, but honesty means nothing when commitment fades to black. I gave you all my loyalty, never played a game, but loyalty feels lonely when it's not the same. You didn't stay true doubt or fear. You let your heart wander while I stayed here. I kept believing we could make it through, but I was loving fully and you didn't stay true. Just a season you meant to outgrow, was forever just a word you like to throw. I would have chosen you again and again, but you already leaving before it could end. You didn't stay true to the girl you held, to the dreams we built, to the stories we tell. You let it slip without a clue. I stayed faithful, I stayed through. You changed your heart, I stay brand new, and that's what broke me. You didn't stay true. through the night, like I was your safe place. Used to trace my trembling hands, like love was written on my face. But somewhere in the quiet, between the fights and doubt, your touch stopped feeling like home and started feeling like a way out. I felt it in the space you left between your words and breath. Your body stayed beside me, but your heart grew cold. You didn't stay warm when loving got hard. You let the fire fade and guarded your heart. You didn't stay warm when I needed you near. Your arms were around me, but you weren't here. I would have stayed through every storm, through every breaking dawn, but you didn't stay warm. You'd roll away when I would cry, like tears were too much weight. You'd say it's nothing, we'll be fine, while slowly sealing fate. I started shrinking in your arms, afraid I need too much, but love shouldn't feel like you're begging just for touch. I kept pretending not to see the frost inside your eyes. I thought if I loved carefully, you'd melt back into me, but you didn't stay warm. You let the silence form a wall between our hearts that I couldn't climb anymore. You didn't stay warm. You turned your back on care, like tenderness was weakness you refused to share. I was fighting for the spark while you let it burn out. You didn't stay warm, and that's what hurts now. I don't blame you for the ending. Sometimes love runs dry, but I blame the way you froze instead of saying goodbye. You didn't have to harden, you didn't have to bruise, you didn't have to make me feel like loving was misused. Cold isn't always loud, sometimes it's just absence. You were right there, but I was alone. You didn't stay warm when forever needed faith. You let the comfort leave and watched us drift away. You didn't stay warm, but I won't change my heart. I won't turn to ice just because you fell apart. I'll still love soft, still love strong, even after you're gone. You didn't stay warm, but I will carry on. You didn't stay warm, but I'll stay kind. I won't let your cold freeze mine. slowly fall apart. You said just give it time, like time could fix what's gone. But time was just a quiet place where you were moving on. I stayed for nothing, stayed through the tears, stayed through the silence, stayed through my fears. I held on to promises you never meant. I gave you my heart for nothing. I fought for forever. You were already done. I kept choosing us when you chose no one. I was losing myself while you felt nothing. I stayed for love, and I stayed for nothing. I learned to shrink my feelings down to fit inside your doubt. Swallow the words I needed to say just to keep you around. You kissed me like you almost cared, like you were halfway there. But halfway love still breaks a heart that's fully unaware. I thought if I was patient you'd remember why we began. But you can't make someone fight when they don't want to stand. I stayed for nothing, stayed through the cracks, stayed when your heart wasn't coming back. I built a home on fragile ground while you were burning it down. I fought for forever. You were already gone. I kept holding on to something wrong. I gave you everything without questioning. I stayed for love, and I stayed for nothing. Ooh, was I just scared to be alone? Did I mistake comfort for a home? I thought staying made me strong, but strength is walking when love is gone. I stayed for nothing but sleepless nights, but empty arms, but quiet fights. I stayed for promises that never came, for a love that forgot my name. I don't regret the love I gave, even if it couldn't be saved. But now I know what I wasn't seeing. I stayed for love, but you stayed.